Hey, how's it going? It's Rich from Elk Endeavors. Hey, today I wanted to talk to you about belief, which is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich second principle, which is belief and faith in that belief. And so what I wanted to talk about was the importance of the idea of faith and belief in whatever it is that you're doing, right? So yesterday we talked about the desire. When you have an idea and then you implant that into a desire, you create a goal, you implant it into a desire, you have to believe that that desire and that goal can come true in order for it to come true, right? So we talked about how your mind cannot create an idea. It can't have a thought unless you are physically able and physically capable of creating the success to that thought, right? So if you want to make a certain amount of money, your mind can't help but get you there, right? It's just a law. Part of that law is creating goals, right? I have my goal cards. I carry them around all the time. Like I said, in my shirt pocket. I talked about that yesterday. And I always read them. I read them before I go to bed. I read them when I get up in the morning. I always have them here. I have my kids drew, my daughter drew on them, so it reminds me of my kids as well. So all this has to do with my kids, which helps me believe more, and that's what I want to get into today. So a couple of things that ways that we can sort of go about understanding the idea of belief and the really, really systematic way in which you need to believe is through what Napoleon Hill talks about, right? And we'll talk a little bit about autosuggestion. Now, there's a chapter later on autosuggestion, which is a really important chapter, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But ultimately, when I say autosuggestion, what I'm talking about is that sort of rote memorization, sort of subconscious thinking that is created when you, for instance, read your goal cards every morning and every night before you go to bed, right? And every morning when you wake up from bed. And so through that, you're able to, in your head, tell yourself a truth. And you until it becomes a truth, right? So have you ever thought about, like, I mean, we've all had experiences where we've believed the story, or we've embellished a story, maybe from our childhood or from earlier in our lives that we didn't mean to embellish, but ultimately it sort of became, we don't really remember what's true or what's not, right? And that's something that, like, I can give an example of when, I got into a little trouble with my friend, and we did something. We created a scenario in which we were able to get away with this thing that we should have been doing, right? And so that in my head, I don't remember what's true about that story and what we made up, because because of there's sort of a lot, well, there's lies involved. This is probably maybe not the best example, but my point is that I don't remember exactly what happened, right? It wasn't horrible, it wasn't anything bad. It was just sort of teens being teens kind of thing, but it was something where we got out of trouble. Our parents didn't find out through the inner workings of the two tremendous minds that were at work, and me and my friend Mike. And ultimately, we were able to get out of trouble. Now, I don't remember exactly what it was that we did to do that, right? I don't remember what's true, and what I remember is true. So ultimately, everything about that whole situation became true in my head. So now when I tell the story, I tell it as though it's it's true. There's no reason to go into all of this, but I go into it here because we've all had that experience, right, where we don't remember what we thought versus what actually happened. Another thing that you might think of is if you've ever gotten sick. Like I remember I got really, really sick after eating ham and pineapple, right? It had nothing to do with ham and pineapple, but that was like the last meal I had before I got really badly sick. I got the flu or something. So now, I mean, even, like as old as I am now, or as much older as I am now, I can't eat ham and pineapple. That doesn't work for me. So anyway, my point is that you've got this ability to say, okay, this is what your mind will believe. And if you believe it for long enough, you tell yourself the same thing for long enough, then ultimately your mind will believe it. And then that thing will come true. And that's what's really cool about success. So the best way to think about it is if you think about someone that says, I always have bad luck. There is no such thing as luck, right? There's really, I shouldn't say there's no such thing as luck, but like ultimately people who think they're unlucky tend to put themselves in positions so that they can fulfill that prophecy, right? If you say, I'm going to fail, if you're a kid, if you're a student, right? And you say, I'm not ready for this test, I'm going to fail. Well, you're not going to do very well, right? You may not fail, but you're not going to do very well. Whereas if you go in and you're like, I studied as hard as I can, I know this stuff, I'm going to do really well, you're probably going to do well. Chances are you're going to do well, right? But we err on the side of failure. We err on the side of thinking and believing that we're going to fail. And I think, part of it because I used to be this way, right? This was me. Maybe it was a fear of disappointment. Often it's a fear of success, right? Like, what do we do when we don't have that thing to fall back on? We don't have that excuse to fall back on. And that's something that, is really important to think about is like, why we keep telling each other, why we keep telling ourselves that we're going to fail when ultimately it's up to us in our own minds to succeed, right? So instead of saying for my affiliate marketing business, affiliate entrepreneurship, instead of saying like, I hope this works, I already know that it's working, right? I already know that I knew it was going to work before it started working, and now I know it's going to work to the nth degree, and I'm going to continue to make goals, right? So the idea behind this, these goals, is that someday I get to put them away. I'll never throw them out because these are markers of where I've come from, but I'll get to put them away and create new goals and go to Staples and get them to laminate new goals or even more audacious than the ones I have right now, right? And that's a really powerful thing is when I'm already thinking ahead of like when I beat these goals and when I get to go and create new goals, and I've already got those twirling around in my mind, which is really cool. Another way to think about belief and your like unfaltering belief, right, is and this is an experiment that they did, someone did, but they took like 3 sets of basketball players and they were doing foul shots and practicing foul shots, and they've done this with musicians as well, where they had one group of basketball players practice foul shots, and another group weren't allowed to practice foul shots for like 2 weeks. The other group practiced for foul shots for 2 weeks. And the other group, the third group, they were not allowed to practice physically the foul shots, but they had to go through the motion. They had to think in their mind every, like for a half an hour a day or something. They went through the rhythm of doing the foul shots, right? So it's just playing over and over and over again, so that in their subconscious mind they were doing it. And guess which the group that didn't do anything like went down in foul shots. The group that practiced the foul shots did well, but the group that didn't practice but just visualized, they did almost as well as the group that actually physically practiced. And the same has been said about musicians. It's like when you talk about athletes being in the zone, right? They're just like, they can't do anything wrong. Everything's in a rhythm, everything's clicking, that sort of thing. So that's where that belief comes from. So in terms of just to kind of finish up, in terms of affiliate entrepreneurship and the belief that comes with this. So there's several things at play here. Number one is that many of us that are starting out in affiliate marketing and affiliate entrepreneurship are new to any business whatsoever. I don't think, and this is really kind of an assumption on my part, but I don't imagine that there's many people that are starting out in affiliate entrepreneurship and they're coming from other online spaces. I think this would be their first stop. It would seem to me anyway, and that's my experience. So if you're there, then hopefully you can tell where I'm coming from. So Number one is that I have to take from, watching a bunch of YouTube videos and talking about how like this person made $50,000 a day and stuff like that, and saying, well, that's craziness. And then saying like, okay, you can explain that in 5 minutes, and I can do the same thing. Like that's nonsense. There's work involved. But when you believe in a system, like I'm involved with the 4% Success Challenge. When you believe in the system and you become part of the system, then it all kind of works for you, right? So you're getting into that system, you're getting into that belief system, and you're able to work with that. And then the next thing is that once you're in there, you have to believe that it's going to work. It's not a matter of like, it's not even a question of whether it's going to work, because it's working for other people. Just because it's not working, the fact that it's working for other people means that it can work for you. There's no difference, right? There's no difference between you and some other person. It's just a matter of how far along they are versus how far along you are, right? Everyone starts out somewhere. No one starts out, knowing this stuff and it's not natural, right? It's not a natural talent that people have. We have to nurture these things. Some people are better than other, I'm better at interpersonal relations and things like that, and the writing aspect, than I was at like the technical stuff. But now I've kind of mastered, not mastered, but I'm getting much better, and I'm getting really, really good at the technical stuff, and I'm mastering the communication process, right? And so once I get a little studio going, and I'm not standing here in my, my bedroom, while my son's trying to get in the door, I'll be even better off, right? I'll be even better at communicating. So those are the types of things that we want to think about. So when you're thinking about an affiliate entrepreneurship business, it seems like magic, and it seems like it's too good to be true. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. It's a matter of just believing in what you're being taught, believing in the system that you're being taught. In my case, it's the 4% Success Challenge. And if you haven't, if you're thinking about doing something, now's the time to do it. Just take that leap, and you have to believe that it's going to work. That's it's changed my life in 6 months. I'm happy to talk one-on-one about that, whatever I need to do, because the more people I can help with this, the more people that, the better I'll be off for myself, and then for my family, and for my legacy. So believing in the system, believing in what can happen, and understanding that this thing is for everybody. This is the most, like, if you think about equality and equity and like what's available to people, this is about as equitable as it comes. Anybody can do this. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from. If you've got you have access to the internet, and you have a willingness to learn how to do certain things, and you've got a little bit of money that you can spend, then and invest in yourself. It's not spending, and I'll talk about that, and I've talked about that several times. You never spend money in a business. You invest. So you invest in this product to teach you how to do an affiliate marketing business, and then you go through the steps, and ultimately one thing leads to another, and the whole plan is there. So if you believe if you believe that it can happen, that you've had the idea, right? You looked up a YouTube, or you got an email because of some interest that you put somewhere. That means that you've had the idea, and that you believe that and because you've had the idea, you can succeed at it. So just the fact that you're at this website, or the fact that you're watching me right now, is proof that you can win, you can succeed at this. So believe in that. Once you have the idea, you set the goal, and you have the belief in the goal, and you'll succeed. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Again, if you're interested in the 4% Success Challenge, I highly recommend it. I'm a proud promotional partner. I'm so excited to be involved in it. It's been about 6 months now since I've started, and I can't even describe the difference in my life, in my family, and my excitement for the future. And that's what I want for you. That's what I'm trying to help you with. That's what I'm trying to offer value with this information about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and then any other YouTube videos that you see me put out. So please subscribe to the channel, like the like button, hit the like button, drop me a comment if there's something else you want to know more about. Whatever I can do to help out, I'm happy to do. So I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, and we'll cut it off for today. Have a great day.